Hello, welcome. Another episode of Candor, Gander, DFK Unmasked, where we get to meet you, the community, one interview at a time. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you've not been to one of my shows before, feel free to grab a drink, take a seat, and welcome to the flock. Consider a like, you subscribe, turn on those notifications, follow me on Twitter, all the good stuff. And welcome. Before we get started with our guest, I want to go ahead and start like I do all my other sort of streams. Start off with a quote that sort of maybe will intermix into the actual show itself. So for today, we have what we once enjoyed, we can never lose. All that we love deeply becomes part of us, and that was said by Helen Keller. And I say that in light of many things. More specifically, I did want to sort of give a couple moments here to sort of remember a dear friend to the community. I didn't get to know him as many, as much as many of you maybe did, but the passing of Working, I know, hit hard. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it and mention this. If you've not seen it, and I'm sure you have, because it's been on the Gen chat here. Feel free to check out the GoFundMe page that was created for him, for his family. I'm impressed. I feel some relief that the money is trickling in, and I know money is not the end all be all, but if there's anything we can do as a community, this may be one of those things. So just a brief sort of plug. I only ask you guys to like and subscribe stuff, but this is something meaningful, something serious. So feel free to check that out. I'll try and drop a link here to the GoFundMe page, at some point during the chat. But it's definitely in the Gen chat announcement section as well. So just we'll give a few seconds reflection. Maybe some thoughts and prayers here. Sort of do some reflection and give them a minute. Give them a few seconds here. No, thank you all for taking the time to join me. Like I said, there's no easy transition from that, but we'll try and do our best here. Go ahead and introduce our guest for today, Mr. Bless himself. I'm sure if you've been around the DFK community for any point, any time, you would have seen him around. But let's go ahead and meet him. Let's get to know him a bit better. Bless, please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody, back on the big screen. Thanks for having me on, Sergeant. Appreciate it. Everybody out there, looking forward to getting into knowing the community more, building on the community, and everything that comes outside and in between. Let's get the show on the road.
Thank you. Well, and the other thing I wanted to mention, sort of thank you for your service. I know I'm a pretend sergeant. I was never in the service, but you were. Can you tell us about that?
Ooh, okay. Well, it's a tough job. A lot of people don't realize how much work and blood, sweat, and tears goes into being in the services. And anybody out there that's a militant, not only themselves but also their families, go through some tough times, especially on deployments. Um, I learned a lot. I heard a lot. Um, but it helped me grow as a person, individual. Taught me a lot of good things. Um, so in summary, I'll say it's like anything else. It's like life. Anything you do in life, it can be a struggle. But nothing worth doing is easy. I don't know, that's a quote from somewhere, but I'm not sure who. But it was definitely not easy, and it was worth doing. I learned a lot from it, and I respect anyone else out there that put their life all on the line for their country, and appreciate their service as well.
No, thank you very much, Bless. I was showing some images there, your uniform, and then the vehicles that were there. Were those, were those pictures of you, and were you in one of those vehicles, the ones you shared with me?
I wasn't in any of those specific pictures, but I did. I was a driver in one of those. That's an armored security vehicle. It's equipped with a turret, a 360 degrees turret, where the turret goes all the way around. Ideally, you have a team leader in the front, you have your driver in the back, um, or a driver on the left side, team leader on the front side, and on the right, and then the turret operator's in the back, and that operates the turret that goes 360 degrees around. And the wheeled vehicle, it actually has a special, um, I forget the exact name, but basically what it does is if the tires are punctured, they can basically continually pump air into the tires
Oh
to,
wow.
to, to keep them inflated. And those things, I forget how much they weigh, but they're several tons in weight, and uh, they're fun to drive. They're heavy, but they're fun to drive. And but yeah, that's something that the military police use as the armored security vehicle. That photo I sent you, that's more of like a training photo. In a real life scenario, you wouldn't be driving that close to one another. You want to keep actual distance.
What, you mean Call of Duty's lied to me all my life?
Yeah, you don't want to be that close.
No, well, again, thank you very much for your service. It's interesting. You're the second person I interview who's got military service under their belt. Coolio was the other individual who was in the service. How prevalent is crypto in sort of the armed forces? I mean, is that something you guys talk about? It's sort of, I mean, crypto in general, right? Sort of an obscure sort of topic unless you've heard of Doge or Elon Musk talking about it. How did you get into it?
Well, crypto in general, I've always kept my ear low to the ground to when anything new and interesting as far as tech came out. So that was me personally. I was actually um, I was actually in Iraq in 2011, and that's around about the time crypto was kind of poking its head out there, and I was like, man, this Bitcoin thing, I need to figure out. And I couldn't find a way. There wasn't exactly an exchange or anything to go on
Right,
and
right.
purchase Bitcoin. But it was back then I started watching it, but I actually never started investing until the last 2 3 years. So last 2 3 years I started my crypto investments. But yeah, I've been watching it for 11 roughly 11 years.
Wow, wow. DFK. I mean, how did you get into that? Because that's sort of, if Bitcoin's up here, I think of the iceberg, DFK and projects like it, sort of beneath it. How did you hear about it? How did you get into it?
Um, well, same thing, kind of, just following crypto, doing my research on, the different tokens and what they did is, um, what they really provided, and uh, I jumped on the Harmony bandwagon, and it's had its fair shares of ups and downs, but I bought it early 2021 and kind of just followed Harmony, and once DeFi Kingdoms jumped on their chain, I started taking notice of that. I'm like, oh, cool, NFT platform, because Solana and Engine and Decentraland and everybody was like, it was like that stage. How many months it was? It was like a 6 month stage where like everything was pumping like super hard. People were
Right.
into those NBA Top Shots and all those that NFT stuff, and I was like, man, this I like this. I like where this is. And I, as much as I knew about games, once as much as I know about games, I'm like, this has real potential, and depending on what is done with it, it could be really big, and I still see a lot of potential in it.
And we'll do more DFK talk for sure. But how do you feel about the project now? And I say that because you're not only a player, you're sort of in the development piece of it too. How do you feel about the project?
Well, like I said earlier, about anything in life, there's ups and downs. There's always a struggle. Um, and Kingdom Studios, for the most part, I don't and I don't think there's much clarity about this either. Their actual experience, in the gaming industry. I know that they have some. Obviously, each individual software engineer, what their specialty is, what they've been doing. I don't have that type of background information, and I've been trying to promote um, getting that information out to the community. I know that several months ago that they had just doxed, so it was kind of a mystery of like who is who, and so now that they're actually becoming more of an official legal business within the United States, those things are coming to pass. So we're seeing it transpire, and I believe it's still early in its infancy. Most people that play are, you know, everyone's pretty much on the beta, and so
Hmm.
it is still a beta platform. Um, Most games of this kind, HTML browser-based games, they don't take very long by themselves to produce. However, when you introduce the blockchain, it becomes a completely different thing because you have to make sure the security, the solidity, the language that they're using. I believe that's what they're using to code on their platform. Um, to MetaMask, so every time you do a transaction, that's the coding language that processes the information with the RPC and all the language and blah blah blah. But it it takes much more to facilitate because it's a new space. It's an
Right.
old space, but it's a new space. There's lots to pull from. They have all the games all the way back to Atari, Game Boy, Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis. They have all this stuff to pull from. There's so many ideas out there. It's like, which way do we go? But at the same time, we have this fresh face of blockchain, and how do we integrate?
Yeah, and it's a message I keep hearing, right? It's a message I keep hearing, not just from you, but from others, where it's like it seems easy, it looks easy, but unless you're deep in the weeds, like you don't know how hard this actually is, right? You don't know how hard this actually is. Um, we'll do more sort of DFK talk here in a second, but I do wanna talk a bit more about Bless here. I'm gonna show some other pictures and walk us through what you're seeing here. Sinjuro, you are not the first. I'm sorry, but welcome, welcome. um, all right, so tell me about this picture here. These pictures here, and I'll do some videos here in a second as well. But what are you seeing here? What are we seeing here?
That's some of the property that I've purchased. Those are different parts of the season. I'm really big on going out there and working on the property in the mountains and going out there with a chainsaw and cutting down trees. Man, it's hard work. Oh man, it's hard work. Um,
Oh, I believe it here, and I'm gonna while we're chatting about that, I'm gonna show some videos as well you sent across. So, where's your property located? What part of the world? Midwest, East Coast, U.S.
it's central. Um, it's in Tennessee.
Okay.
Yep. So that's actually on the property there.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Nothing beats, I live in the suburbs, and when I see images and I hear those sounds, right? I think, wow, how cool is that? You've got a video here. Looks like you're starting your bonfire here. What's going on?
That's part of what we're clearing for the house that we're gonna
Mm.
build. There's no construction done on the house yet. It's, we've been out there with bulldozers, getting excavators, and right there we're just stacking up trees that we've cut down. Some I dragged with my truck, hooked up a chain to the back of some trees that we cut down, and it, it's fun. It's good, honest, hard work, and it's got to be done.
Yeah, yeah. No, here's another sort of waterfall image here with a landscape sort of imagery sort of towards the end. That's impressive. How long have you been at it?
We've been working on the property there for about 2 years. It's roughly 35 acres. Um, it's the two big waterfalls. That's the larger waterfall there. That one's about, let me say, 25 feet or 30-foot fall.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
I might not make moonshine with it, but definitely gonna. I mean, it's drinkable. It's spring water in the mountains, so all
Hey,
I
that's
gotta
better
do is,
than. I'm sure it's better than what I'm drinking, so I'll take it.
if you're drinking Dasani, then yeah, it is.
Not today. We got some other images here. So tell me about this one here. What's this? What am I looking at?
So me and my wife, we both love arts and crafts, and that is for my son. We did a little project. The back there, the circular image is a tree that me and my wife both drew, and I wood burned onto there and then stained it. And then, so I had a concept for a crib, and so we put it together and stained it and polyurethaned it. And you can't see it, but on the front, there's some little drawers that flip up, and we still have that. We didn't really get to use it much, but another baby on the way, so we'll have the opportunity to put a little one in there.
I appreciate the hands-on stuff, and you'll see a bit more of it here in a second. But I am not crafty. Sometimes I think of what I'm good at. And I'm good at things. I'm sure I am, but craftiness isn't one of them. And you're talented, my friend.
Thank you.
You are very talented here, and this is I think more of your talent here. What's this here?
This is a Lion of Judah, so it's a lion with kind of a hash design. If you were to look at it closer, the in, actually, I can give me 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, super impressive. Like I said, I am not good at drawing, at the art stuff, the creativity stuff. But and you probably get a sense of that when I call it I'm not good at the art stuff because who calls it that? I do. Oh, that's big.
Oh
That's
yeah, it's
impressive.
it's table size, man.
Wow,
So
you can.
that's what I was
Yeah.
talking about, the hashing right here. And so I freehand this on here. I did use a projector to kind of help me get the base design on there, but I had to go over it with the pencil and make sure everything was thick enough to actually come
Yeah.
back behind it and then wood burn it. But yeah, it turned out really good. And as you can see, it's I don't know how high that is, but there's from my head height to my waist. So
Wow. No,
it's a
it's
pretty big
big.
table.
It's a pretty big table. Is this is this another table piece? Plus the love grows. 'Cause that looks beautiful too.
That one's the one that's on the crib. So I actually darkened it and did it with the crib. So if you go
Yeah.
back to the crib, it's on the crib there.
One more here. Back of the crib. Okay, I see that. Yeah. That's
I'd
cool.
bring the
Well,
crib over, but that thing is heavy, man.
well, wait. I'm just kidding. No, no, I won't do that to you. So so not only are you talented with wood, you're also an artist of sorts here. You sent a few different ones. I was most intrigued, most interested about this here. Can you? What am I looking at here?
Um, that's that's Jesus on the cross, and that's kind of my interpretation of how each part of um, those words represent. So, the soul um, on our side, as we're looking at it, would be the right on the right portion, and then strength with the soul. And so Jesus is carrying all that, and above his head on the cross is the King, and love, compassion with the for the body, um, wisdom and hope at the base of the cross. And then you had suffering, salvation. Faith is underneath because that's the foundation.
Hmm.
And he's going towards the word salvation and grace, and that's the spiritual life. And also that it kind of rings true for the verse, Romans 8:29, for whom he foreknew, he also predestined to conform to the image of his son, for him to be the firstborn among many brethren. So, saying that, Jesus was the beginning, um, and essentially is God, and he's the beginning and the end, and that the brothers would be, the disciples. And so the compassion and strength I also have, um,
Oh, I
on the
love it.
inside of my wrists there.
Yeah.
And grace
I
on this side, and agape on this side.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. And and you have some other intricate pieces here. But again, this one called my attention because I said, "Oh wow, it's meaningful to you because to put those words, and it's not so much to draw something, but to put those words, the
Yeah,
verse there.
the
Um,
sufferings behind, that.
mm-hmm,
So I
mm-hmm.
mean, he's carrying, so much wisdom on his back. He could Houdini out of there easy.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's not. And this is my personal spiritual belief.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, so I'll share some of the other stuff you sent across. These are beautiful. We'll go through those here. You do. It's not just you know pencil, paper, some canvas work as well. I mean, how did the canvas stuff come into play? But sort of, you've expanded your horizon as far as sort of all the medias you end up sort of working with here.
yeah, I've my family's always been very art oriented. Yeah, I didn't pick up really painting. I went to school for painting, for art, in around 2015. After 2015 or 16, I took a couple semesters and a couple courses, excuse me, and along with a whole bunch of other things. I before I joined the army, I was like, man, well, I don't know what I want to be when I grew up, and
You want to
then
do it all, and
yeah,
you did it all.
basically, yeah, I was still working on that part.
No, I mean that's super cool. I mean, like I said, it's beautiful to sort of see, what you do outside of DFK. Because again, we know the DFK bless, but we don't know the man behind the scenes here. So thanks for sharing some of that with us.
You're welcome.
Um, let's take that a bit. Let's do some deeper diving with DFK. So you're submitting a grant proposal. I know it's in the Kingdom Builders website, but tell me about your grant proposal. Sort of recap for those of you who maybe don't know about it, and I know you've made some significant progress just in the last couple of weeks. You're now the team lead, and you have sort of people working with you, for you, under you, however you want to sort of label that. But tell us about that.
Well, I mean, it started with me having a concept of, I don't know if anyone's ever played the arcade game Gauntlet Legends. So there's three different posts. The original post started, um, and I put in as a submission, but it was more of like an idea. It wasn't really a grant proposal yet. And so that one's in collaboration now. And to date, I think, uh, yeah, that's the most recent. That's the revised one there. But
Hmm.
the original one is in the community collaboration page. It's the purple tab, and it started as Action RPG and DFK project.
Okay,
And
so tell us about that.
well, I'll just go through it here and kind of recap some of the things that
Yeah,
are
yeah,
on
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Um, so I basically introduced myself. I'm like, hey, I'm a retired Army veteran, true hero in DFK Discord. Saying, letting people know that I went to college for information technology, and what I have to bring to the table, lots of resources, and that I want to promote and build on the platform. And I found a source code that was done by someone. I still to date have not been able to get in contact with them, but that's long in the past now. We've moved on from that. But he had an open source code that he had a decompilation of Gauntlet Legends, a decompression code of the Nintendo 64 version of Gauntlet Legends, which I loved. Um, and I believe I think that was a 1998 version. So that was an 8-bit style or re-render of Gauntlet Legends. And so over time, it just evolved from there. So I had posted that in the dev Discord back in March, and then when they said they were coming out with opening back up the grant proposal, it was like day one. I was on here, boom, posted it, and it's evolved since then. Like May 5th, the day that the grant proposal came out, it's on here. It was like the first the first post. It was like me, Piano Man, and Albus were the only people on here. So I hit this thing fast. I was like, because
Yeah.
I was already thinking about it and I was already talking about it and it had already been talked about. And so that brought us to the second, me revising the proposal and putting a team together, creating the Discord that I have, the Bless Network, which basically just allows people to communicate, in a more free, um, a free way, not is so, um, not so strict as far as, the requirements. People can come in there and chill. Of course, it's still moderated. Be careful.
Right,
Don't
right.
don't go in there and cause no trouble. Koopa will
Koopa will
slap you.
get you.
Koopa will
Koopa's
slap you.
everywhere.
Damn, he's
Koopa's
everywhere.
every. Can we give Koopa some shout out for being such a rock star? Koopa's everywhere, and he's everywhere he's needed. And your and your Blast Network is just another place he hangs out, which is super awesome. Um, how's what's your interaction been with the team? I know it's something we've talked about sort of in private, but what do you care to share with the audience as far as how that's gone, the progress that's been made or maybe not made, sort of some feedback. What's that looking like? How do you like it so far?
Well, like I said, I'm always the kind of person that looks in the perspective of not just one perspective, but more than one
Of
perspective.
course, yeah,
So if I give you my view, it's actually the view of many other views just through my opinion or insight
right,
or however you want to look at it. But the project overall, since the grant program has started, what is it, May 5th? So we're about 6 weeks into the grant proposal being passed, and they really didn't have. Um, let me do some pros first.
yeah.
They
Let's hear them.
I'll start with pros. This is something in the military we call an AAR, after action review. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so an after action review, we would go through pros and then we would go through cons. So we want to know what we did right, and everyone wants to know what we did right, and then we go through the improves. It's not something necessarily we did wrong, but maybe we did something wrong, but we want to improve upon it, right? So that's something that the community really should be doing for Kingdom Studios. The community is a voice to say, hey, you guys did this right, you did this right, you did this right, but also you need to improve on this, this, and this. So anything that I say towards Kingdom Studios that may sound negative to someone else through in their in their perception, is not necessarily a negative comment. It's more of a feedback for Kingdom Studios to take and say, hey, you know what? He's right about that. We need to look into this further. So, as far as the grant proposal goes, it's been out for 6 weeks. Um, they have a site for a grant proposal for the community use, so that's good. Other people don't even care about, community feedback as much. Kingdom
Hmm.
Studios has been avid about that through several different Ask Me Anythings, which is the AMAs. And for the longest time, I was like, AMA, what's that stuff?
What is that?
I'm like, oh, ask me anything. Okay. So, but yeah, they came out with they started it back up, and I think they wanted to do it right this time, and they're taking their time. They got their two business devs. Well, they have three business devs total. They have Dreamer, they have Piano Man, and Sun Bear. And Dreamer is obviously the president, so he oversees more like the large facilitation. This is just, what I would see as a company running. So he's the primary business director. Essentially, he's the board
Right.
of directors for Kingdom Studios. He directs the giant vehicle that is Kingdom Studios.
Right.
So, and this is just my insight from talking to these guys and reading and trying to understand how it functions. Um, Sun Bear is more of the primary businessman uh, that runs Kingdom Studios. And at what capacity, I'm not completely sure. But for me, it's like Dreamer's like, hey, I want you to be responsible for these business tasks. I'll drive the vehicle, but I need you to focus on these sections because these are the primary things right now. And one of Sun Bear's primary responsibilities right now is the Kingdom Studios. And I've had other mods, not other mods, excuse me, other devs reiterate that like
Hmm.
this is one of the things that they want to focus on right now. And I spoke to Sandwich Punch and Baby Punch about this about a month ago. I was on their Inner Grove
Hmm.
and reiterated the I think that's about the same time you started your
I
YouTube. It
did,
was
yeah,
around that
yeah,
time.
and I saw your video for sure. So what I would recommend anyone to do if you've not seen that video, I would say that that's a very good video to watch. Sort of, it does you do a deeper dive into your project as a whole. Um, but I know you're going through some pros. Some of those cons, and I wouldn't label them cons. Maybe let's relabel them and call them room for improvement.
Yeah,
What could you
pros
say? Constructive
improves.
feedback, constructive criticism. What would you say about the grant
Um,
proposal process?
I would say that and this is something that you might not think of till afterwards, and it may be intended exactly how it is currently. Let's say, hey guys, I have a great idea. We want to get grants out to the community. And someone's like, okay, well, we don't want to invest too much into it until we see who is actually interested. So if they start to get a lot of interest, then they will put more, effort into it. So I could say that they could have been more prepared to roll out more functions or had more people in the space to facilitate the ideal behind the grant proposals. Frisky has mentioned that he wants things to the point where if something gets enough traction, then it automatically goes to a community vote, and that's something is that's desired by them. They want the community to vote on that. That's how they want it to be done.
Right, right.
Does community vote represent the voice of the community? I mean, that's debatable because depending on how many votes you have individually, can determine the yes or no. I mean, if I'm a millionaire, and I have a million Joule, I have many more votes than the next person.
Boy,
But
and it's interesting you say that because there's a lot of projects, and I'm sure you've seen this through the woodworks, right? I think of Terra 2.0, right, where it's like, let's put it to a vote. Do we want Terra 2.0? And you have some person vote. It's like, and I don't know what percentage it was. It was certainly like a large percentage, right? Where it's like, well, one person holds 55% of the vote. It doesn't matter what you all think. If this
yeah,
guy says
it's like
yes,
majority vote. It's like a big company. I own 51% and you guys own 49. Everyone can vote against me, but my you know my 51% trumps your 49%. A million people could vote and get that 49%, but one person has the power to 51. And I'm not saying that the community vote system is bad. I'm just saying that is a possibility, and the way it functions at the moment is based off of ex Joule holding.
Right, right, yeah, yeah, and I know they've done stuff to the community, but sort of make people with heroes sort of count in a certain way, so that you're not just necessarily an ex jewel holder who gets to vote. Tweaking some of that to try and make it quote unquote fair. Your final question on this, for someone, for anyone, let's say I wanted to go ahead and submit a project or a grant. Anyone here in the chat box in the audience wanted to submit a grant. What would you tell them other than brace yourself for a long process?
Well, I would say make sure that you go to the Prime site first and click the Start Here button. Go
Right,
and
right, right,
actually
right.
read through the Kingdom Building Program overview. And depending on what you want to do, make sure that you're hitting everything, on the head. Do it in the format. Yep, the Start Here. If you want to click on it, and I'll go through that as you click through it. Yep, and you just click the Kingdom Building Program. Sunbear posted there.
Yep.
And it explains that why the program's there. You can ask for a consultation. That'll set up a meeting with you and Sunbear or Piano Man.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the template also there. And if you pull up the template right there, yep. And this is the template that you are going to use to actually submit your grant. And so no single grant exceeds 50K. So the
Mm.
actual initial grant, not the very first one, but the actual proposal that I put in to meet this was actually listed at 90K. It was 45 for initial, and then increments after that. 45,000 in increments, and then upon completion was another 45. But I was told specifically by Sunbear that no single grant they're not authorized to give more than $50,000. Um, but
Okay.
this project
Yeah.
takes a lot of people, and if you're working over a 12-week process, you think about how much money is it going to take to pay 7, 8, 9, 10 people for
Oh
12
yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, no, I
And
mean 50K isn't a whole lot of money. I mean, maybe it sounds like a lot of money if
it
you
does. I
get
mean,
it
if
in.
you found it on the side of the road, I mean,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh hey, I take 50K, but but the way you put it, right, where it's like, hey, you've got a team, you've got, and maybe this is something that takes a bit longer than projected, and you've got to invest in maybe some hardware, software. It just, the dollar amount sort of adds up.
It does.
Um,
It adds up real quick.
and then for you, I mean, I think you started off as a single person.
Hmm.
You added a team. Why did you move to the team format? What sort of benefits did you see that in it for yourself?
Well, I started branching out to the community, and I was
Yeah,
like, I don't want to do this alone. I want
yeah.
people that are in the community that also want to work with Kingdom Studios, to build on the platform. I don't want just my ideas. I want to collab with people and see what other ideas are out there. I don't know the best way to do everything. I have an idea on how I would like things to go, but right now I'm just overseeing the facilitation of the project. I'm helping with some of the art. And I posted a couple new things on the resubmission. Every once in a while I'll get on Aspirate or Aspirate or however people want to pronounce it. I may be butchering it.
Echo, or is it epoch? Oh, yeah, yeah,
I call it Epoch, but
yeah.
um,
I did too. um, so I'll maybe we can end the segment with this question here. When do you suspect you'll get a definitive yes, we're moving forward, or thank you very much, we appreciate it, but we're moving on? Do you
you
have
mean
do you have some a timeline for when you get a definitive answer?
no? I don't have a definitive timeline. I have a speculative timeline.
When let's speculate. When you speculate, you'll hear something.
Um, this hopefully this week I will have a meeting. But I've spoken to others that have proposals out that haven't had feedback this week. So I don't know if there's like who knows, Dreamer and Frisky be having everybody at like a, some place that they need to just touch base with the team and be like, hey guys, this is our direction. Sometimes it's good to have face to face interaction with your student. I don't know. That's speculation, but um, I do not have a definitive yes, it's proceeding or no. But this is technically the second revision um, to the proposal. I should have a meeting this week. If I don't have one by Friday of next week, I would be really surprised. And I'm hoping for that to be the defining meeting to actually put it on the check to go to community vote.
Oh,
So
nice.
if we don't see something, if something doesn't happen by July 1st, I'd be increasingly surprised. Um, Out of 17 proposals that have been submitted, one is ready for community vote, and that one
Really?
still, and that one is let's see here, that is
I mean, it's exciting to hear that we're as close to, and I know, I've heard it both ways, right? It's moving too slow, it's not moving fast enough, right? But for me as an outsider, it almost feels right. I totally get the concept, and I've heard, I think, Thanapolis, I think is his name. I bless. I know you've worked or collaborated with him, chat with him. I've heard him mention before. Maybe uh, we won't go here because this might be another 30 minutes. But the idea, the concept, yeah, community vote is great, but why are we leaving it up to someone like me who has no technical know? I know little to nothing about programming. I know nothing about the sort of technical aspects of whether or not something should be funded or should not be funded, other
Mhm.
than hey, it looks cool or it doesn't look cool. Um, it's sort of an interesting take, right? But to hear that this is coming potentially for a vote in the next couple weeks, maybe that's pretty exciting.
I would say
Maybe
I
with an
would
asterisk.
well, I wouldn't say community vote. See,
Okay,
that's a completely different. That would be a completely different ballpark.
gotcha. Okay,
The proposal being accepted and rating and get a pot, and you have to have a certain rating score. So we fell short of the rating by 1 point last time. Everything has to be 3 or higher and get a total of at least 40 points. And so only one category did we not get an average of 3 or higher. So we revised the proposal and used all the references that some bear and piano man gave us in the meeting and revised it. So we're waiting to have the next meeting to go over the revised proposal, and that would be that July 1st timeline. I think we'll have a meeting by then, and the rating might be done. And the other person I was talking about was Koinix. He's the one that did the DFK matchmaker. Um,
okay,
he's the only one that's passed the proposal. And on June 16th, he said his was already approved, and he said it's I'm awaiting core team approval before community vote. That was 3 weeks ago. Understandably, the current crypto winter might be slowing things down. So,
right.
he actually got he was approved at the end of May, but he's still waiting for it to go to community vote. So they may be waiting to approve more than one proposal at a time to go to community vote, or I don't know. I mean, that's all in the hands of Kingdom Studios and how they handle that.
Hey, we're all rooting for you, for your project, for the other projects. Whatever keeps the ball rolling and going. DFK duels is awesome, but I think we'd all want to see more, right? The more we see, outside of PvP, PvE, I think the better it's going to be for the project for sure. We'll go ahead and end that segment. We'll move on to another one, and we'll do a bit more DFK chat along the way.
All right.
Let's go to one of my favorite segments, Duck Duck Goose. If you are familiar with the show, Duck Duck Goose is a spotting the truth amongst the two lies. So We have two false statements and one truthful statement. The truth is your goose. We're gonna try and see, which is that goose, which is that true statement. So I'll read the three statements, and at any point in time, you can say, hey, you know what? That's a goose or that's a duck, and we can recap here at the end. So statement number one: egg hatching they've steadily gone up every day this week. Believe it or not. Is that a duck or is that a goose? Let you sort of digest that one. Statement number two: 1,000 heroes were leveled up just yesterday. 1,000 heroes. Statement number three: over 1 million jewel was spent in hero sales last week alone. Which one of those three statements is true?
Only one can be true.
Only one of those is true.
Um,
Audience, feel free to chime in, see who gets this one right.
can I phone a friend? 50
Phone a
50.
friend. Well, you know what? We can. How about you try and maybe eliminate one of those false statements, and I'll tell you if you're right or
Um,
wrong.
I think
So it's egg
the heroes
hatching
the
heroes.
hero sales is probably false. I was gonna guess that's false.
So you were saying over 1 million jewels spent in hero sales is a false statement.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's where the game ends because that's the truth. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Believe it or not, yeah, 1.2 million jewel were spent in sales last week.
Oh, that's over a
Um,
week there.
yeah,
Okay.
over a
Yeah, it
week.
makes more sense.
Yeah,
I was
which is
thinking the 24-hour volume. So I was like 24. Yeah,
yeah.
but
I mean,
a
it's
week,
crazy to think about, right? I mean, over a million jewel at
even a
today's
week,
price,
that sounds kind of high.
doesn't it? I mean, I thought so too. I had to double check to make sure the numbers added up right. But yeah, I mean, a million jewel. This is according to Harmony. I think it's Harmony Protocol is the website. So that's I mean, I'd have to go back. Someone, I might have to come back at a future episode and say, hey, you know what? I lied and I was wrong.
Bless was right. No, I'm just kidding.
Bless was right. Bless got it right.
Because
The other ones,
look, right now the 20. I mean, I don't know if this is tracked correctly, but the 24-hour volume of Jewel is shy of 90K right now.
wow, that's impressive too. And
That's
just to
low
recap
though.
some of these others,
Super low.
it is low, but I think given the moniker of crypto winter, maybe it's just where it needs to be, right? I mean, I'm not doing as much as I could be doing with my jewel, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, sitting on the sidelines, other than summoning. And I've been doing some of that myself. So heroes leveled up. So yesterday we actually had 4,000 heroes leveled up, and we've had the number of egg hatchings go down, not surprising, from 830 to 488. Um, so one more, sort of, a thought here, just different segment here. What are the Fox? A lot's been said in the last couple days, weeks, as far as news that's come out. What sort of, maybe pick on one sort of news item that's come out of DFK, that sort of made you sort of eyebrow raise or sort of chuckle or maybe go, huh, interesting. There's a lot to pick from, but maybe one item and maybe we can talk about that a bit.
Okay. How about one of the things that someone mentioned on the AMA voiceless chat?
Okay. Is that someone a
Um,
bless maybe?
no, no, it wasn't me. I didn't think to ask this. Someone was interested in the Avalanche Foundation unveils $290 million incentive program to spur, obviously, the metaverse program and, and DeFi kingdoms. And someone asked about that specifically, and Frisky responded that they were still working on that with Avalanche. So, maybe that's something that Kingdom Studios is trying to do still at the moment with Avalanche. Maybe they're trying to make some kind of um, deal, maybe with Avalanche in some form or fashion. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean it's interesting. I know the top they were very VC sort of, stay away, VCs are evil, sort of come around on that for sure for obvious reasons. Um, the idea of having someone like an Avalanche being able to sort of invest further into the project and sort of saying, hey, you know what? Let's go full on metaverse here. It's intriguing, what comes of it, what that looks like. Does that deviate from what we're currently doing? I don't know. I mean, I think for me and maybe for many people, right, the clear goal is to get that PvP, PvE out. And anything that distracts from that is, it makes me think twice, right? Why go there? What are your thoughts on that?
Um,
Things that make you go, for sure.
I have a lot of those. I would really like to see inside the inner workings of Kingdom Studios and actually what the reality of the thought process was. Um, what kind of business proposals they have, what they don't have, what they need, what they require. Uh, it's at the end of the day, it's all speculation. And I'm not asking for them to release alpha PvP arena content or anything like that. Um, anytime the AMAs pop up, even the last one that they had, I keep asking them like, hey, can we get discourse forum where we can get interaction with the developers and you guys tell us where you're at. I the only way I know what's happening, on the let's see, every other Wednesday they want to implement content, right? We know that they
Hmm.
want to. So on the 15th they released the duels, obviously. So this
Hmm.
Wednesday we will have maybe a bug patch or something like that, and then on the 29th they're supposed to be releasing um, the what did Sashi say to me the other day? That's the only reason the way I got a response is by asking Saucy directly. But if they had this information, um, posted, like somewhere that is accessible in an organized fashion, like on how it is on the grant site, on a
Yeah,
forum. It seemed like they've started that. Piano Man last week or the week before that he added, I think it was last week, added that announcement section. And but this is more for the building platform. Why not just make that discourse website um, a community website, or do they not want to intermingle the two? Like
but
I
yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned because I've been keen to that too, right? There's a lot of messaging sort of gets lost along the way, or maybe Monday night quarterbacking, right? It could have been delivered in a better way. Um, I think it's really for me. I think of it of what do I think the source or the root cause for this is. And I think it's a bunch of well-meaning people who are stretched thin, um, for a variety of different reasons, right? I appreciate everything they're doing, I really do, but I can't imagine how you keep up with the crazy of all the different things they're doing, and now they've cut down on some of that staff, right? So now they've got more work than they did even a week ago, and it's interesting you mentioned that. I was I was on Discord last night, or this morning, around midnight, and Frisky came in, and someone asked him, "What are you working on?" And maybe a bit of alpha for people who didn't see it, but he's working on the raffle entries, right? He's working on those diligently, and he's hoping they come out. And he sent this screenshot across.
give a timeline.
He didn't give a timeline. Someone asked, and I think Three Wolves asked. He was here. He's here in the chat box, I think. But when is it coming out? We didn't get a response.Other than they're working on it. It's interesting from what I see here, and a large amount of speculation. But it looks like we've got a large raffle pot here where the prize here is 20 eggs potentially.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want 20 eggs? That's an interesting raffle.
Before I forget, this is kind of like my same caveat to the grant proposal. Like, if you come out with the DFK duels, and we're receiving raffle tickets, and this is a potential improve. Um, if you gave the community insight as to, here's what all. I mean, it could have delayed the duels, but if people knew what the raffle tickets were for and what they would receive, then maybe the initial um, DFK duels would have been more popular. Maybe people would have put more, jewel towards it. But you could look at it as in another way as, hey, we don't want to release it yet because we want to kind of slow and incentivize DFK duels by trickling stuff out. And that's kind of been their mentality, is like we trickle things out. We introduce something and we
Right.
and we build upon it, and we introduce something and we build upon it. Um, for me, that would be like submitting a grant proposal and saying, hey, I'm going to give you this, but I only give you the beginning of it and say, okay, hey, I need another 50K to give you the reward portion of that. So I mean, I say that with a bit of sarcasm, but that's how some people could potentially look at it. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um, if you
But
go into a dungeon, you kill a bunch of mobs, and you're like, okay, we're not supposed to get any loot until the end, and you get to the end, and you kill all the boss, you open the treasure chest, and there's nothing in there, and it's like TBD. You'd be like, where's the treasure? Where's the treasure?
it
Why didn't we?
reminds me.
We didn't implement that yet. I'm sorry.
And you might remember the debacle, and anyone here in the room who is in DFK for maybe a couple few months, right? The X jewel holding, where it's like, hey, you hold, a minimum. I think it was 100 X jewel for X amount of time, and you get prizes, and if you were like me, you got 20 gold, and you got a lot of salty people in Discord who were like, hey, you know what, I held 100 X jewel, which at the time was a lot of money. And I could have summoned and maybe sold stuff, and I don't like the prize because it's not, it's not what was, maybe advertised for some people. Yeah, it was interesting. Anyhow, we'll go ahead and sort of close this segment out, and end with one of my other favorite segments, which is, "Are you faster than our guest?" So it's three questions, DFK related questions. You'll try and answer them. See if you can get them right. I've had to make these harder, Blast, because every guest is just quicker than the others, right? Um,
I'll be
and we'll
slow.
see. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, hey, maybe
I'm
slow
slow.
but right. We'll take it. And anyone here in the audience, feel free to participate. As
I'm not
always,
looking.
mythic bragging rights are at stake. So if you get this right and Blast doesn't, you can say, hey, you know what? I beat Blast.
Huge accomplishment. Write it down in your history books and your journals.
Yes. And for those of you who journal at night, I beat Blast. All right. How many plots of land are currently available in
100.
Sandel? You see? I gotta make these harder. I gotta make these harder. Yes, 100. Quick. All right, next question. What are the 6 things you can currently do in the tavern? 6 things in the tavern.
Cards, arm wrestling, tavern, catalog, darts, duel.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much, yeah. So duel, the agent, hero, viewer, transfer, yeah, gambler, ice fever, thief. I think you may have missed thief, but I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. All right.
That's
So
darts,
you're
though, right?
Oh, you know what? You're right. It is dark. See now, now. Oh, see now you're rubbing it in. Now you're rubbing it in. um. So you know what, Bless? You are. See what you do. You like to swindle people.
Nobody's
You're
nobody's journaling tonight. Nothing
and
good
no one.
anyway. Skipping
Well,
it. The one
maybe
left,
we
guys. One
maybe
left.
we got you here this last one. All right.
Maybe.
So CV was scheduled to launch when? What date? Christabel. You
March
remember?
March 1st, April
Ooh,
1st.
we
Oh,
stumped you.
scheduled, initially
Schedule.
scheduled.
Yep.
I don't even know that one.
So
No
trick
idea.
question. March 30th is when they were initially scheduled to launch, but you were right. April 1st is when they actually did launch. Had to wait a day, get things right. They pushed the deadline. So I'll give you half a point. So uh, hey,
2.5
not
out of
bad.
3 is passing, right?
Not bad. Hey, passing in my book, good enough to get you over to the next class. No, hey, Bless, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with us. Give us some feedback on what your process, your experience with the DFK grant program. We got to know you a bit more. Closing remarks. Something you would tell someone who's either new to the game or who's been in the game, but maybe would benefit from some words of wisdom.
Hmm. Good question. I guess it depends on how much you want to invest to begin with. Right now, it's a really good time. Buy Jewel and hold. If it was me saying this in January, it would be a different story if I had a time machine. But
Oh yeah, I hear you.
a lot of the times I give DFK analytics to people. That link, and searching on DFK analytics is much better than going through the tavern. You can I found a lot of good heroes that were going to disappear, and I tried to find them for other people at the same time, and that's
Yeah.
that's basically what I was doing on my stream, was like helping people find, PJ heroes for discount prices, and using the DFK analytics. So
So so
Wegos doesn't know, but I'm his biggest fan.
well, you know what? And we interviewed him a couple weeks ago. If you've not taken a look at that, really good. If you're his biggest fan, I'm at least second best fan or third best fan because Three Wolves probably has one up on me.
He
Between the
learned he learned everything he knows from me. And three wolves took all my tricks and added more money to it, and just ran with it, man.
Man, I am so I tease Three Wolves, but he's got it. I mean, if I had some of the cojones he has,
Me and him
he
have never traded one time. You know how many
no
hours
way.
we've spent in DMs, and we've not traded one hero, not one,
Oh, well,
not one hero.
Three Wolves says
That's
live.
because
Now, I
he
don't know if you.
always wants the upper hand on the trade. I'm like, I'm not giving you that. He's like, I don't know. It can't.
What
I
you?
can't. Me and him can't trade. It's just impossible.
But you know what though? Maybe I'm a sucker because I've traded Three Wolves like a lot,
If you
and
traded three wolves, you're a sucker. That's basically what it boils down to.
that's a
Hey,
fact.
if you don't mind, if you could do me a favor before I know that was the closing remarks, but
Yep.
if you just go to the proposal and just scroll down and kind of just go through some of the art, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, let me guide me to it. Let me make sure I'm at. Let me pull it up on the screen.
See,
Give
he's
me one
already
sec.
talking. He knows I want that DK. That's why he's talking about that DK.
Tell me about the DK while I pull up the screen.
Yeah, the three was link me your DK so I can, or just throw the number out there, man. Throw the ID out there. He's got that. I don't even want his legendary DK. I want his rare. I like his rare better than his legendary.
He's got a stable full of really awesome heroes. They're all better than mine, and he tries to make me feel better by saying I have a ninja or a archer he really likes, but I think he's just being nice to me. So I'm here on the site. Guide me to your proposal from here.
Yeah, just hit the home screen up top where it says DeFi Kingdoms.
Yep.
Yep, red tab. Project Blessed revised. Yep, that's the new one. Yep. So there's a vote there if you haven't voted yet.
Sweet. And then you said scroll down.
Yep, and I've just been posting some art that I've been working on. Like there's
Oh
some
wow,
weapons. Yep, me and Kupo came up with a couple. Me
dude.
and Angry McLovin did that one, and some of them are fun. Pick actually go to the last one. The last one's fun. Yep. No, I'm
Oh,
sorry. The last weapon.
oh, the
I meant
last
to,
weapon. Okay, okay. This
yeah.
one.
Yep, just click that and kind of read through it. It's got a little bit of lore.
Old Drippy one-handed weapon here. The Scepter, speed of 1.25, 1 to 69 damage. So that's interesting, quite a range. 56 damage per second, 9 plus intelligence, 3 agility, 12 vitality, 3 luck, 1 speed, 7% chance on cast to restore 50% of your mana pool. Interesting. Can only occur once every 30 seconds. This thing is literally dripping with mana. So what you might need to tell.
And some of the other
Oh,
ones have
love
some
it.
pretty good ones too. I have a lot of fun making those, and those are just weapon tooltips. These can actually be used in the game. They just need to be adapted. Um,
That's
but yeah,
amazing.
they represent. The colors represent the rarity, and that's what I was trying to go with on the weapons.
This weapon belongs to the one known as Angry McLovin. Fear his name. I love it. I love it. Well, I must say, at this point, can we all agree to disagree and say that Kupo is either he's got clones or he's some sort of bot. I'm telling you, super awesome dude. Shout out to Mr. Kupo. I really
He's got
appreciate him.
two of those weapons were custom made for Kupo. Did you see which
No
one?
way.
Yeah, go
No.
up.
All
Go.
right,
Yeah,
then now you
go
gotta
go
show
back
me.
up.
Okay. Okay, which ones?
Well, one's named after him, Kupo Tower Shield, right there.
Oh, of course. You
And
can't you can't do anything without Koopa's name in it.
read the lore on it. It's not bad.
Wa-
It's an
wa-
uncommon.
Washed up on the shore weeks after the PJ, bruised but not beaten.
You can kind of see it battered a little bit. It's a bruised shield, but it's sturdy. Yeah, it's got a little dent in it in their bottom right.
You know what though? With it, I'm sure you're bound to win. Anything Koopa touches is a win in my books.
And then also the crescent staff. That was Kupo said, "Hey, do a crescent moon staff," and I'm like, "Give me some colors," and he's like, "Gold, purple," and he's like, or what did you say? He said violet, gold, crystal, and
He's
so,
a he's a Laker fan. I like it. Okay.
but no, I have people come into the Bless network, and what I do is I stream Asprite, and I say, hey, what kind of weapon do you want me to make, and give me colors, and we bring them to life, and it's fun.
Can can I
Koopa,
can can I plug your Discord?
yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, if you're not in it already, if you want to chime in and maybe provide some feedback, sounds like you're very much open to that. Bless.
Oh yeah,
Or if you'd like to make special weapon requests. I didn't know you were taking weapons requests. And maybe
I
you were
am.
at one point. You are. You still are.
I
But
am.
that's
Still am.
interesting.
Thor. I
Okay.
did one for Thoric. You see the
Oh.
one for Thoric? He's got a warhammer on there. Thoric wood,
Oh.
one of the mods.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
He's
Wow,
like, "Can
man,
you make a warhammer?" I'm like,
dude.
some of these only took me 20 minutes.
No way.
I was
Well,
surprised
that's
myself. I'm like, damn, I guess I'm just good at making weapons.
well.
Models are way harder for me.
Yeah, yeah. So I've just pasted your Discord. I think some of you may already be in there. If you're not, go join it. Lots of good stuff on there. I must leave with my closing remarks. Speaking of your website, some really awesome pastry pictures that come up every so often that just make me hungry at 2 in the morning for no reason.
my That's what my wife. She's a pastry chef.
Is she really? Okay, she has to be. I thought so. She had to have been, or she was a very skilled sort of just
Yep, she went to college
pastry.
for it.
Wow, that's cool. What maybe that's another topic for another day for sure. Share some of those pastry pics. But closing remarks here again. If you wanna be a guest on the show, if you want to see someone on the show, feel free to DM me. Feel free to drop in a comment in the chat box. Our next guest scheduled for after the July 4th holiday, Crypto Baby H. We'll be doing some chatting, some of the same old, getting to know her, talking some DFK, and who knows, maybe by then, crypto's a crazy sort of mistress, up and down. Who knows where we're at in a week and a half. So, with that said, thank you all very much for your time. We'd love to see you at the next one. Appreciate it.